All right, welcome to episode 4 of Mostly Lifting Stuff. I'm Garrett Bondi here with Asa Gettner and Kirstie Barnes. Welcome.
Kirstie is a physical therapy major, OU women's deadlift champion, bodybuilder extraordinaire. And Kirstie, I understand you won some shows too. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so I did my first show last summer, not the one that just passed, but 2017. And I just did the London Murray Classic. It's an NPC show, which stands for National Physique Committee. It's pretty much like the most widely known bodybuilding organization, so people that are trying to advance in competing typically go with that one. And I competed in figure, and I did the open class and the novice and the true novice. Those all mean something a little different. I don't know if you want me to go into detail about that. It's kind of
If you want, we're not going to hold you
Just a
back.
little background, yeah.
So true novice means you've never competed before. Novice means you've never won first place. And then open is out there for anybody that wants to compete. So being my first show, I figured I might as well give it all I got and try for all three. And I ended up winning the overall title of the entire figure class. So that was pretty awesome and a good start to my career, I guess you could call it. Then I took a nice good off season and ate lots of good food, lifted some heavy weights, and tried to put on a little more size. And then this past summer, I did the Nicole Wilkins Classic, which is right here in Ypsilanti, and didn't do as well in that one. Ended up getting third. Not too bad out of 7. So, you win some, you lose some. You can't go in expecting to win everything. But really the point of competing to me is not, it's not about the trophy or the title. It's about the experience and the accomplishments that you get along the way. So at the end of the day, I was really happy with the physique that I brought. And then 12 days after that competition, I went to Pittsburgh and competed in my first national show. And I did the teen and collegiate divisions. And the competition didn't have as good of a turnout as I expected. So I only ended up competing against one other girl. So I hate to kind of say that I won the title there because it seems kind of overrated. I'm giving myself a little more credit than I really deserve, but at the end of the day, it was the best I've ever looked, the leanest I've ever been, and I was really proud of that. So it's about that. I don't have any plans to compete again right now. I need to take a nice off season and do some things for myself. I really want to focus on building my strength up. I might dabble into powerlifting a little bit, maybe do a meet or something. Haven't really decided yet. Haven't built my strength up enough for that, but then I really just want to focus on advancing my education and things related to my career. And a prep for a show like that is very mentally and physically taxing. So if you have other big priorities in your life, it's not always the best time to take on one of those. And it's not saying that, you're not giving it everything you've got or that you can't handle it, but just more knowing that you're not going to be able to devote 100% to those other aspects of your life if you're not feeling your best. So I really just want to take some time for that. And, I'm still really young. I'm only 19, so the stage is something that will always be there, and it'll always be part of my heart, but I'm not going to rush it, and it's going to be there when I'm ready for it.
So you said you were in figure.
Mm-hmm.
So because I know there's different classes, how does that kind of work?
So for women, the class is advanced based on muscularity. So the lowest degree of muscularity would be the bikini division, and for that, their suit is like, it's a two-piece, and it doesn't connect in the back like a figure suit does. And for bikini, they look for like defined quads, really like round, full glutes, nice capped off shoulders, and like a lean midsection is more of like the bikini look. So for figure, the look is a little different. They look for still like the round shoulders, but a little bit more roundness to them, with a V taper in your back. So they want the illusion of like a big back, a small waist, and then the nice like quad sweep on the bottom. So I think just how like fitness evolved for me and like how my body was changing, you kind of fall into one category or the other based on like what your physique looks like. So typically you just kind of go with like what's the best fit for you, but you can also, change your training and diet to shape your body the way you want it if you want to go into a particular division. Then after figure, which I don't think I'll ever get to this point, that requires a lot more muscularity.
That's like the like women's bodybuilding, right?
Yeah,
That's what it's
next
considered.
after figure is physique. So there's like a
Okay.
men's physique and a women's physique, and then there's women's bodybuilding, which is like as high as it goes. And the posing for those is all different too. So like when you go on stage, you're wearing your bikini, and you get up there and do a posing routine, but like for the bikini division, it's very like sassy and everything's very like smooth, and you get to put a lot more of your personality into it. Whereas figure is a lot more like structured, and you kind of like hit your poses, and then, you want to make this transition smooth too, but there's less room to like play around with the routine because they just want to see like you hit those poses really strong. And then like physique and bodybuilding, they do like a whole routine to a song, and there's a whole separate thing that goes with all that. But I definitely think that the bikini division would have been a better fit as far as the posing goes, because I've like been known my whole life to be super sassy and like I don't know, I did dance my whole life, so my favorite was like jazz, and I could make all these like facial expressions, and I feel like that side of me would have been a better fit for a bikini, but ultimately, my physique fits better in figure, so still love it.
I definitely think that would be probably more up your alley, Austin, too.
Oh, dude. I would fit right in with the bikini. Let's be real.
Give the judges a little wink, and the little shoulder pop.
A little shoulder pop? I can do that.
I mean, you
nailed that.
did do that dance for the basketball thing, so
We don't have to bring that
you're
up.
pretty much
We
trained
don't
in
have
it.
to- I forgot about that. We don't have to bring that up.
So now you're in your off season.
Mm-hmm.
So what has really like shifted in your training now that you're in the off season?
Okay, that's a great question. So a lot of people ask, like, how do you get so lean, and then how do you like put on the weight? So first, I kind of want to establish the fact that, like, for competing, getting to the degree of leanness that you have to get to step on stage and be competitive, especially for a woman, is not really healthy. Women, we have more body fat for a reason, we were built that way. We have more estrogen, less testosterone, and we need that extra fat for like hormone production and just like normal system processing inside. So, dieting down for the stage is okay, but you need to keep your long-term health in mind, and so that's why like gaining weight and having like an off season is necessary, because you want to make sure that you're not sacrificing your long-term health and getting all of those processes back regulating normally, and to get your metabolism back up, because from dieting so long it likes to down-regulate, meaning if you're giving it less food and you're losing weight, your body's going to slow down and your metabolism's not going to burn as much. It's going to kind of adapt to that. So in my off season, where I went off on a tangent, don't even know where I started. So, okay. So training really the only thing that changes for me year round is diet and cardio. So my weightlifting regimen really doesn't change all that much. I keep the intensity high year round. So I mean, in the off season, the goal of that intensity is to build muscle. In prep or competition season, the goal of that intensity is to maintain muscle mass, because you're not really going to be building muscle when you're in a deficit, when you're trying to lose fat.
Right.
So you want to keep lifting heavy and keep the intensity up as high as you can. And also, like, if you're trying to lose fat, then you're going to want your output to be as high as it can, because that's going to increase your calorie burn and help you get more out of your dieting. So training doesn't really change all that much. The last couple weeks of prep, when I got my weight got pretty low, my food got pretty low, I did have to lay off of the powerlifting movements a little bit, because more for injury prevention. It's just, you're very weak and fatigued at that point, so it's not really the best idea to be doing a 300-pound deadlift kind of thing. So
Yeah.
kind of back off a little bit at that point. But I got right back into it after prep and tried to get back to it as much as I can, because that window right after is really important for building muscle. So cardio, well, I don't really like cardio so much, but it's a good tool to use for dieting. So I got up to 45 minutes fasted in the morning, and then 45 minutes post-workout
Sounds horrible.
on the Stairmaster
Yikes.
for a solid 3 weeks at the end of my prep. And so obviously that's an extreme amount of cardio, but I want to say the week right after my show, that went down to 3 25-minute sessions. So we're not trying to maintain that level for very long. It's just really for the stage. But I like to keep in, so I kind of slowly tapered that off, and I've really just been doing it here and there. Maybe once a week I'll throw 20 minutes at the end of my workout, just to keep my cardiovascular system strong, because I noticed during my lifts it starts to get a little weak.
Yeah.
I know me and Garrett experienced that today during legs, doing a lot of supersets, and my heart was racing more than anything else. So I was like, well, I better get back on the stairs. But
Yeah, lifting was definitely bordering on cardio, and that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
I don't want those two to
we
mix.
need to separate those two for sure. So yeah, that's about my cardio regimen. Diet-wise, during the very deepest part of my prep, I got down to about 1,200 calories a day. Now I'm back up to I've increased that to about twice as much. So I'm at about 2,500 a day, and that's a slight surplus for me right now. I'm also trying to build my metabolism up, but that's a whole nother topic.
Do you always track what you eat? Or
So,
you just kind of estimate it?
during prep, it's very important to do that. It's kind of you want to get all of those variables in check, if you don't know how much you're eating and putting in your body, then it's going to be hard to make changes and gauge your progress if you're not keeping things consistent. So during prep, yeah, I weighed all my food, tracked it all. There's, towards the beginning of your prep, there's a little bit more leeway for that, but once you get toward that, there's really not, if you want to be serious and competitive about it. So moving into my off season, I reverse dieted, so meaning I slowly added food back in my diet, and that helped prevent a big rebound for me, a bunch of weight gain at one time.
Right, because your body's probably not ready for you to go back to
Normal
from 12
eating.
to 24.
Overnight, right.
Your metabolism isn't there.
Exactly. So that's the whole point of a reverse diet. Slowly adding in calories, slowly getting your body adapted to eating normally again.
That's after the big meal after the show, though,
Oh
right?
yeah, for sure. I went crazy for about 2 days. I actually have a really funny picture. It's on my Instagram too, if you want to look at it. But in the food post show, and I was sitting in like the back seat of the car, just laid out like this, and my veins were popping in my arms from all the carbs and sodium, and I had the biggest food baby ever, and I had such a bad stomach ache. Oh, it was so terrible. And I had to ask my friends to drive home from Pennsylvania because I was like, I can't even sit upright. I need like some time for this to digest. It was so bad. But I think everybody kind of has like a little experience like that. It's kind of like, the trophy after the trophy kind of thing. And
Yeah, I can't. I mean, obviously, like, you're quite a bit. Like, if I were to do a prep, it would be a lot. Even my like cutting calories would be a lot higher. But
for
like
sure.
1,200 is like, it's like a meal. That's
Oh
like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is like you have to remember. Like I'm 5'0" and I weigh 112 pounds right now. So like I haven't been this weight my whole life. My weight's fluctuated a lot depending on what my goals are and how much I'm eating and all that kind of stuff. But obviously for somebody your size, you're what 6 foot, and you said.
Yeah, I'm like 220. So
220.
it'd be
You're gonna need a
little
lot
food,
more,
yeah.
right? You weigh like almost double me, so you're gonna need a lot more food. And
When you went through like dieting, did you like pick a certain thing and that was like your meal like every week, or did you try to like throw in variety? Like how did you get through like that?
that's a great question too. So there's kind of, I want to say, like 2 different approaches to like a diet, really, for like bodybuilding. What people typically do. So there's like the traditional like meal plan where you're kind of eating like the same thing for like 6 meals a day. Not 6 meals a day, but like each meal is like the same thing from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the amounts in the meal might change like based on if you need to like decrease your calories or not. Or there's something that I do which is called like flexible dieting. So basically I just had a certain amount of carbs, proteins, and fats that I got to consume throughout the day, and I could combine those any way that I liked. I could, actually realistically eat whatever I wanted. If I wanted a Reese, like I could eat it, but that takes a nice chunk out of your calories, so it's not really gonna leave me with.
Yeah, you're eating dry chicken and broccoli the rest of the time if you're eating
Right,
Reese's.
exactly. So, you try to find a balance between, curbing your cravings and finding like low calorie alternatives to like, that's kind of why like the traditional like chicken broccoli diet exists, is because, those foods are whole and they're nutrient dense. So like they're going to keep you fuller longer than like something that's more processed. So that's kind of like why we choose to eat that way. But I mean, overall, as long as you're in a caloric deficit, you can lose fat. There's people
Right.
that, if I ate the same amount in salad as I did, I mean, you'd have to eat a lot of vegetables and salad for that. But if I ate the same amount of that and Pop-Tarts, but the calories came out the same, like you're technically gonna lose fat or gain weight either way. Just like
Right. Your just micronutrients are a lot different though.
Exactly. So that's what I did. I did flexible dieting, so I just had a number of carbs, protein, fat that I got to eat throughout the day. And I would find like kind of staple meals, I guess you would call them, that they'd be like my go-to, or like the things I really enjoy. And I would typically stick to like that rotational, like 10 different meals or so, just based on whatever I was feeling and whatnot. But it's nice because you get a little bit more room to play with it.
I think a lot of people struggle when they first start getting into lifting weights. Like they'll start going to the gym and then the diet kind of trails. Like the diet is kind of like they go to the gym for a while,
It's an
they
afterthought.
see like their initial results, and then they start to taper off and they realize, hey, like there's something I'm missing, and that's when they kind of look towards the diet. And a lot of people think like, oh, like I don't want to meal prep, I don't want to eat chicken and broccoli and rice every day, like. But it doesn't have to be like that. Like I do a meal prep every week. I do like 8 or 10 meals, and then usually I'll do like an egg meal or something else. And my main focus is just getting enough protein every day because I'm not doing a prep or anything crazy. But I want to give my body what it needs. So if I'm, trying to build muscle, I'm able to. But you just got to find like a few recipes that you really like and you don't mind eating, multiple times a week. And it can be as simple as some weeks I'll just do one thing for like the whole week, and other weeks I'll split it up if I'm, feeling like mixing it up. But if you find something you don't mind eating, and I'm like starving when I go to eat anyways, so I could eat anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the best thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you just gotta find something that you're willing to stick to and like willing to repeat, because you got to do it for a period of time to see any results from it.
That is like such a great point, because people, especially now, like we live in a world of instant gratification, so everybody wants like the quick fix, like what pill can I take, what supplement can I take, what kind of diet can I follow. And really at the end of the day, like I saw a good like infographic on Instagram a while back, and I really liked it because it listed all these diets. We got keto, we got Atkins, we got low carb, low fat, I don't know,
Yeah.
the list goes on. And, the next column was like, why does this diet work? And like all the way down the list was because you're in a caloric deficit, because you're in a caloric deficit, because you're eating less than you're burning. Like at the end of the day, whatever diet you choose, just make sure it's something sustainable that fits your goals, that you can see yourself doing long term. If it's not really a diet. It's diet meaning a lifestyle, like
It's
diet.
a lifestyle change.
Yeah, exactly.
How you eat.
And it's a tool
Meaning-
though. It's not the end all be all.
Right,
Yeah.
meaning way of eating, not like something I'm following for 8 weeks and then I'm just gonna go back to whatever I was doing before,
Right.
So I have a friend that is pretty like overweight. She's probably obese if you look at her BMI or whatnot. But
Well, so am I, but.
right, yeah.
Honestly.
We're not accounting muscle mass in there, but so she definitely needed to lose weight to be healthier. But she doesn't really like exercising, which I think there's something for everybody. Everybody can find something they like, whether that's running or playing tennis or whatever it is for you. But anyways, she didn't really like go to the gym much. Didn't track calories, nothing. All she did was like educated herself on like the quality of the food that she was eating and what she was putting in her body. And like as a result, she's making healthier choices and decreasing her portion sizes. And in the last 6 months, she's lost 40 pounds just by doing that and changing her lifestyle. So, when people ask me like, how do I lose weight? Like, how do I do this? Like, just pay, the first thing that I think you should look to, like, yeah, exercise is important, but like you said earlier, you brought up a really good point. If you're, training hard in the gym, you're, especially if you're new, because you should be getting a lot of changes quickly in the beginning, and you're not seeing those changes, take a look at your diet. Like, it's so important what you're putting in your body, and, your body's going to respond to what you put into it. So I think that's the biggest thing, is looking at all those factors,
Yeah, because like you look at people who are trying to lose weight, and like I see it from, like you can tell like the people that are at the gym trying to lose weight, and usually like they're on a piece of cardio equipment like the whole time
Right.
they're there or something like that. Where if you think about it, to get to a caloric deficit, you either need to eat less or
Right.
you need to burn more,
Right.
and
Or a combination of
Right.
both. Right.
and that's where you're going to see the most result is if you're doing both. But it's a lot easier to not eat a Snickers bar than it is to burn 200 calories or whatever it is on a treadmill.
Right.
It takes forever.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You better be doing some hard sprints or something, or dripping in sweat, because, ooh.
Yeah, but even on top of that, if you are to, if you're in the position, and I'm no expert on weight loss, but if you're in a position where you're looking to lose weight, and you were to add, some form of strength training, you start building up muscle mass, then your body's going to use more calories. So then, the equation shifts a little bit, and it becomes easier for you to be in deficit because you have more muscle mass. You're using, more calories per day.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about weight loss is, sticking to that cardio equipment, because people are like, that's what's going to burn the calories, right? Like, I think they understand, like, I got to eat less and exercise more. But by adding in strength training, like you said, you're building muscle, and muscle at rest burns more calories to, just to keep it alive and functioning than fat does. So if you have more of that and your body composition is composed of more muscle than before, you're going to burn more calories as a result. And like you said, it's going to be easier for you to lose fat. So
Yeah.
It just helps you out in the longer run.
right, too. And you're going to see better changes because your body's going to be shaping in different ways too, instead of just, weight loss is one thing, but fat loss is another thing. Those are kind of two, they're correlated to some extent, but they are different because weight loss, like what kind of weight are you losing? Is it water weight? Is it fat? Is it muscle? All those things can happen.
Yeah.
Versus fat loss, the goal of like a diet and like a cut per se, if you're trying to get shredded, is you want to make the ratio of fat to muscle loss as large as possible. You're trying to lose the most fat without sacrificing that muscle that you worked hard to build.
I think a good example is like if you look at runners. If you look at a marathon runner, that's like think of that like weight loss because very low of percent body fat, but also not a ton of muscle mass because they their goal is to be as light
Right.
and they can move.
Right.
But they don't have to be crazy explosive. Where if you
Right.
look at a sprinter, you see like world class sprinters and they are just absolutely
Big
jacked.
boys.
Yeah.
Some big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're super low percent body fat too. But
Right.
they need that explosiveness, that high
Right.
muscle.
Endurance, right? And
Right.
muscular endurance, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the difference between weight loss and just fat loss. Where
Mhm.
And that's just like one example, within athletes. We're talking about the marathon runners and like a track, like 100 meter sprinter. I mean, it just kind of depends on what you want and like what you're looking for.
You gotta train for your goals, if
right.
I'm trying to be strong, so I'm gonna take up like a powerlifting type program, or I'm trying to look aesthetic and build muscle, then I'm gonna take up more of a bodybuilding, or if I have a friend who plays basketball for U of M, but she loves weightlifting too, so she does a little bit of powerlifting. She wants to be strong, she wants to look fit, and then she also wants to have that athletic ability, so she puts in like circuits and agility training, like puts that into her training too, and that is how you train is important as well.
And I think a common misconception too is there's a lot of girls that are scared to move to heavier weights. I know especially in high school, you'd hear a lot. They'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to look like manly." And it's
Yeah.
you gotta cringe when you hear people say that.
For sure. If it was that easy, everybody would walk around jacked. That's all I gotta say.
Right.
So just a little bit of background on me. I started from really little, petite. I went through an eating disorder, and weightlifting is really what saved me from that. And I went from the mindset of I want to be as skinny as possible to I want to be strong. And that's as bad as it is to compare yourself to other people, we live in a world of social media, and you can try to avoid it as much as you want and as much as you can, but it is I feel inevitable at some point. And you can use those as motivation. So I would look up to these people that I would see on the covers of magazines and competing in these shows, and I was I want to look like that. I want to figure out how to do that. And looking back where I am today, all that education and stuff has built up, and it takes so much time to transform your body. People really undermine the time and consistency that it takes. So just be patient and know that women don't possess enough testosterone naturally to look like a man overnight. Those people that you see that look like that are taking a form of testosterone,
Right.
steroids to boost their performance, to look like that. You're not gonna grow a beard and have a deep voice from lifting weights. So
You mean you're not going to be like an Olympia level, like women's bodybuilding?
right, yeah, exactly.
Just from doing like deadlift once a week or something.
Right. So that would be my biggest advice is don't be afraid of the weights. You know, I still feel feminine and I don't feel, you know, like a man when I lift weights. It just makes me feel good. So I definitely don't shy away from it.
I know, like Rachel kind of touched on it last one when she was stuck in that like beach body circuit.
Yeah.
You mentioned it too. Like she just would use the same weights over and over.
And I see that at the gym too. You got people doing, I don't know, I call them like foo-foo workouts. Like it's like you scroll through Instagram and you see like the Instagram model doing like, you know, their patented butt workout. And it's like
Those are great though.
it's like I just like cringe when I see that stuff because it's like, you know, learn to squat, learn to deadlift,
Yeah.
and
It'll be a game changer.
it's gonna be a game changer.
Yep.
You're gonna get that booty you've been working for with those bands around your legs like way faster.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me is like when I first started out, the education about lifting started before I even stepped foot into a gym. So I had a goal in mind. Funny enough, my goal was to have abs. I was like, I just want a toned stomach. I want a six pack. Like, I'm going to get there. So I did P90X, the ab portion of it,
Nice.
at my house. It was a 15-minute video.
Ab ripper.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ab Ripper X. That's
Yeah.
right.
We know what the ab ripper
I found
is.
it on YouTube. I did that for 90 days straight, and I saw great results from it, but only in my abs. So, you know, everything else just still looked the same because I didn't do anything else. So, where was I even going with this? What were we talking
I feel like
about?
the abs are like pretty.
That's what everyone wants.
Everyone because that's like probably one of the easiest things to see results in is the
Right,
abs.
Yeah.
You know, you can get a pretty good gauge on what your percent body fat is just from looking.
Right.
But you can have the strongest abs in the world, and if you're, you know, a guy that's 25% body fat, it doesn't matter.
You're not gonna
Like
see
you
it.
could train abs 3 or 4 times a week, but you eat 6,000 calories a day or something crazy, and it doesn't matter. You could have the strongest abs, but if your body fat percentage isn't there, you're not going to see them.
So, yeah, the biggest thing with that is, like, so you have to build a foundation underneath. So you need those, like, muscles to pop out and those muscle bellies to you know, shape a little bit more, just like with any other muscle. And then, like you said, you got to get your body fat low enough. So it kind of goes through cycles. You know, you got to build the muscle up underneath, and then you got to cut down the fat on top. And that body fat percentage that you see your abs at is going to be different for everybody. Like, it's so genetically determined. Like, just because you have abs doesn't mean you're at 15% body fat or you're at 6% body fat. Like, everybody, you know, where you hold your fat and, you know, the most, like I hold it most in my legs, and my abs and my back stay leaner, like, year round, you know. Just everybody's different. I feel like women hold a lot more in their stomach and their legs, where, like, guys, I don't know, where's, like, the biggest
Probably
Yeah.
lower. I'd say lower abs is probably
Yeah.
one of the toughest.
yeah
like,
areas for you.
to get visible.
Right.
I think it's
So-
funny. I remember seeing a video a little while back of big power lifter. I don't know if it was like Eddie Hall or like one of these guys. It's like world's strongest man type. You know, lifts.
Like a
you
big boy.
You know, probably got 2,000 plus total or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're doing an ab wheel, and they're doing them standing, and they're just doing rep after rep. And it's like, it's funny because people think like, oh, doing the ab wheel is going to get me abs. Like, but like you look at this guy, he doesn't want to have abs but his core is so strong. He's got a 300-pound frame, and he's doing these standing ab wheel rollouts like it's no problem.
Right.
That doesn't mean you have visible abs.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's just like those guys. What are those guys that like lift the trees and all that kind of crap?
Yeah, like Thor and like
Yeah. Those guys. I'm sure like their cores.
Oh, they have to be.
Well,
they have to be
you just can't see it though.
Well, they have
at
to be
all.
so strong because when you're lifting heavy weights like that, your core is basically you're bracing, you know,
Everything.
You're bracing your core so that your spine doesn't get out of position and so that you're not putting yourself at risk for injury. So their cores are just like
It's involved
unbelievably
in a lot of
strong.
things that they do. Definitely.
So I definitely think it's like obviously important to have a strong core, but I definitely don't put as much emphasis on it as I did before. And once I started like focusing on like total body training, like even chest, I'm a girl and I train chest. Like you'll see me in the gym benching, and I have a whole day dedicated to chest and biceps, like in my workout split. Like I don't not train it just because it's, you know, considered more of like a guy muscle group kind of thing. Now I train to have like a more balanced physique, and I train everything. So that's, you know, the frequency and volume that I put on a muscle group is going to depend on, you know, what kind of results I want out of it. But once I started like training everything is when I started to see changes in my body, and I think that's so important. Like, don't be afraid to train a muscle group. You know, obviously if you want to focus on certain parts over another, like that, you know, lagging body parts kind of thing, then that's important. But especially for women too, you know, you just see them and they're doing legs and core all the time. So
Right. And there's no shortcuts in the gym, but I think the most bang for your buck when you're at the gym is your compound lifts, because
oh yeah,
there was a while where I was doing abs maybe once a week, but I was training compound lifts every time I was in the gym, you know, a couple different ones. And you really don't need to train your core like
whole lot
abs like
more.
crazy,
Yeah.
because
You're already
your
doing
core is working so hard for those compounds.
Yeah.
absolutely. That's like a huge thing is, you know, I'm with you. I probably train my core 1 or 2 times a week right now, and just because with all of my other movements, your core is like stabilizing so much, especially when you get off that Smith machine and you move to free weight squats and you move to free weight stuff, like your core is really going to be working. So if you want a strong core and to see your abs, like, yeah, you can do like 100 crunches every time you walk in the gym, but I think, like you said, you're going to get so much more benefit out of those compound lifts.
Yeah, and even like when I do train core, like I'll do like hanging leg raises are my favorite, because you know, you got the grip strength going, you got your shoulders pushed down, so you're
Right.
not swinging, so
Right.
you got activation in your lats, and then, you know, you're using your core to lift your legs, which your legs aren't light, so you're getting a lot of work in
Right.
there, and
Yeah.
it's just like such a great way to go beyond just doing, you know, like a crunch machine where you're
Yeah.
literally just hitting like one part of your abs or
Yep.
another. So
So what's your favorite exercise?
it's the deadlift. It's got to be the deadlift.
Me too.
I'm pretty simple.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think I'd say it's the most beneficial.
I think so too.
People
Yeah.
might give me
Crap about
Crap
that
about
over
it,
this
because
over the squat.
I pull sumo, but
Oh no,
it's all about my
That's-
leverages. So
you're
I mean, I got to do what I got to do.
still got crazy strength.
What about you?
Ooh, you know,
Come on.
I've actually gotten into the squats a little bit. In that last program we did, I actually kind of enjoyed doing squatting, because I definitely noticed like a lot of definition in my quads, which I like had never seen before. So I think for right now it was the squat, definitely.
And it's a lot tougher. You're like what, 6'4"?
Yeah.
Like your leverages are just so much different, and you know, to move weights you have longer, like what do they call it, like a moment arm, you know,
Oh yeah,
to move the weights. So
your limbs are longer, so you
It's-
know, your range of motion and the path that you have to take to get like correct form is gonna be completely different than somebody like my size. You know.
Mm-hmm.
like I would be interested to know, like, if Kirstie were to deadlift sumo and you could you pull conventional,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it would
me
be
too.
interesting to measure though what your sumo deadlift, like how far the bar moves off the ground compared to Austin's conventional, because you got to move the bar probably at least a foot farther than she does.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason I don't like sumo. It just feels so uncomfortable because I feel like I'm barely lifting the bar off the ground.
That's like have you ever seen Steffi Cohen?
Yes, I love her.
She pulls sumo though, and it's like
Yeah.
the bar moves like, you know, like it looks like
Nothing,
8 inches
yeah.
or a foot, but
Hey,
she is
that-
strong as hell. She is crazy.
Yeah, I mean deadlifts are one of those things that's hard to fake. You know, I mean you can round back it all day, but like at the end of the day, you got the weight off the ground. You know, so not like a squat where you can kind of like, you know, people are. Oh, I could go
Quarter- you
on.
could quarter
I could,
squat
I
it
could go
and-
on and
I
on
like-
about squat depth all day.
I like what's the leg press? I like
Oh, yeah.
watching leg press.
Like the nice
Yeah.
bouncing motion.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And you
Oh.
work at the desk in the gym, so you see everything. You're sitting right in front of the squat racks. You're just
Yeah.
watching. It's just, I
You
can't
know?
imagine being like, because like you got a fair amount of people that work at the desk and aren't passionate about lifting.
Right, they
But
just
being
kinda
passionate
yeah.
about it and like seeing all that would drive me nuts. Like I just gotta look the other way a lot of the times because it's like I can't.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are
Right.
you gonna do?
I mean, like, when I'm doing my workout, doing my own thing, I'm kind of in the zone most of the time, and I don't really pay attention to, like, you know, I'm not really, like, on the lookout for what everybody else is doing kind of thing. That's another thing that I think, going off on a tangent again, that women are afraid of is what everybody else thinks about you when you go in the gym. You know, you're lifting weights, like, in a predominantly male environment, so it can be a little bit intimidating at first. And let me tell you, I was intimidated when I first walked into a gym. I didn't know what I was doing. You know, when I went back to Planet Fitness in 2014, you know, everybody started somewhere, so don't even like think that, you know, if you see all these people, like, just know that they were in your shoes at one point. And just like, don't be afraid of that, what other people think about you, because most of the time they're not even paying attention. Anyways, so working at the desk, that is, like you said, gives me more opportunity to just kind of sit back and watch people. And the biggest pet peeve for me is more related to safety, you know? Like, if I see somebody squatting on their toes or, you know, I don't know, just moving, like, exponentially heavy weight with improper form and where there's, like, a huge risk for injury, that's when I start cringing the most, because I'm like, you're really just, you know, it's very dangerous. You got to be careful. And so I think before you jump into anything in the weight room, like, educate yourself on how to do it. And so, I mean, lifting heavy is important. Don't be afraid of that. But make sure that you master down your form before you start piling on the weights on there.
Well, then you get more out of it too.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're gonna do it right, you're gonna get more out of it.
Even with less weight, right?
Yeah.
If you have the proper form. I know you can attest to that because you said you got a lot out of this last program that you did, right?
Yeah.
Because you were, like, really focusing on, like,
I was
proper form.
my biggest thing was depth.
right,
Before,
on those
yeah.
movements, right. So, you know, working at the desk, I wish, I'm not, like, a personal trainer. You know, what I know is from experience and just, like, research that I've done on my own and, you know, gathered from people that I've worked with and whatnot. And I don't, you know, I'm still in my undergrad. I don't have a degree yet to, you know, in exercise science or something. I don't really feel like I have, like, the credibility behind me to tell people, you know, like, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Or, I mean, I can give them advice, but it's kind of, you know, there's a fine line between walking up to somebody and telling them, like, don't do this.
Yeah, you never know how people are gonna take that.
React. So you
Yeah.
kind of got to gauge the person. And, like, if there's, like, a really dangerous situation, obviously I'll approach them. But, you know, other than that, it's kind of hard because you just don't know how people are going to react. But
And I think at Oakland, the atmosphere is good in that I feel like unless people are doing like crazy stuff or just being super arrogant, I think if you went up to 95% of people and asked for help, it would be like no problem.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's like just that not knowing, and you can usually tell like, you know, who the people are that would be willing to help, and you probably would want to find somebody, you know, that's doing, you know, good form, and
Right.
you don't want to go to the guy that's just putting on as many plates as he can and then just muscle bumming the heck out of it. Just
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
It's all kind of just I would say too, like, asking people for help. You want to ask someone that's doing the same exact thing that you are, because I know I was just asked like last week about dumbbell press, because I was doing it right next to the kid,
Oh yeah.
which was fine. You know, I didn't have a problem helping him out. Obviously, it was one of his first times there, and you know, I don't have a problem with asking. I'm sure anyone else that was around him would have asked, but he just asked me because I was, you know, right there next to him doing it. So I think kind of depends too, like,
and
on
I
the
think
situation, like you were kind of saying.
yeah, I think most people would be flattered that you know,
Right. Right.
that they'd be asked for help, because it kind of shows that they're doing things in a way that people think is the right way to do it. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
good gratification.
It goes both ways, definitely.
Yeah.
So I have a question. When did you like first start getting into, like, I want to lift seriously? Like, I know you said like the P90X thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at what point were you like, okay, like I want to, you know, start going to the gym and start doing this and that and dieting and all that kind of stuff?
It's a great question. So, going back to that, so P90X was about 7th or 8th grade for me. And believe it or not, the nutrition side of fitness actually came into my life before like the serious like working out.
That's wild. That's
Yeah,
like the
it's-
opposite for everyone.
That's big.
Usually,
Big time.
But I don't know, I was just super interested in it because, you know, I just, in my free time, all I would do is just read and read and read articles here and, you know, research here and workouts this, videos, just whatever I could get my hands on about nutrition and training. And so I, you know, gathered all this information, dove in, and I would do like these little like 15-minute home workouts that I found on YouTube when I got home from school every day. But then I was like super serious about the nutrition part. You know, that knowledge has evolved obviously over time.
Right.
But then serious lifting for me, so that was 7th and 8th grade, so I don't even know how old was I then. What is that?
I don't know, probably 13.
13.
Right, okay, so went through that phase, and then when I was 16 years old was the first time I stepped foot into like an actual gym, because
That was Planet Fitness.
it was.
We'll use that term lightly, the actual
Yeah.
gym. Well,
Yeah, right, okay. A place that you can drive to that's not your home basement.
Yes, okay. We like it.
I like it.
So,
It's better than nothing, though.
yes, exactly. No, everybody starts somewhere, man. You know, they have enough stuff there, and they're open 24/7, so, like, you can't...
You kind of can't
Yeah.
beat it if
Right.
you're starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and,
much
like-
better than the basement.
Yeah.
Or it's, like, if it's that or, like, not getting a workout in, like, I can make it work, you know?
Mhm.
You know, I'm not using over 60-pound dumbbells for a lot anyways. If I could do a nice shoulder workout there, but anyways. So, on my 16th birthday, my dad drove me to the Secretary of State in the morning, and I drove away from there to school. And then right after school, I drove myself to Planet Fitness and had my first workout ever because, you know, I did like school choice and stuff. So, and then my dance studio was like 45 minutes from my house. So my mom was constantly like driving me all over the place, like, you know, to get me where I needed to be. So she was like, you know, I don't really have time with my work schedule to be driving you to the gym too. And I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. But I could not wait until the day I turned 16 so I could drive myself there and, you know, get an actual workout in. But so I started that a couple months in after I just kind of did my own thing and played with the weights a little bit, got a feel for everything. I actually hired a coach online. Just somebody that I found that had, like, you know, was reputable, and I was like, yeah, you know, their clients have good testimonials, seems pretty good. I actually really liked working with him. You know, it was kind of informal because it was all online, but
Yeah, shout out to the coach. Who was it?
yeah, Tyler at Team TNT.
Okay,
Go
nice.
look him
Nice.
up. You know who that is?
What
You
up,
ever-
Tyler? No,
Yeah.
I know I have not heard
Oh.
of him, but
So that's what kind of introduced me to like the macro style of like, you know, dieting and like tracking my calories kind of thing. And you know, we set up like goals for that, and he gave me a workout program, and pretty much like at that point you can pretty much do, if you're giving a decent amount of effort, you're probably going to see results because like you're such a newbie to lifting. But I saw great changes during that time. Started like finally eating enough for my body, and you know, I was severely under eating before, and you know, got a good solid foundation and a good start. And then I kind of took things into my own hands, and like I said, pretty much everything I've done is mostly just experience and research and all that good stuff.
so you've had a different upbringing than Garrett and I for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Mine was-
because I mean, you had it more.
I wasn't
from
in-
high school than I did, but
Yeah.
we didn't.
We,
I
we,
didn't eat
we didn't
worth of
set
crap in high
we didn't
school.
set foot into a gym until we were at Oakland.
Oh, really?
Well, like we were in a high
the
school,
high school
gym,
gym, but
but that was like half an hour. You know.
like after school
Like,
weightlifting
yeah,
or football
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
yeah.
So
How many plates can you put on the squat bar kind of thing?
exactly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, our first time in actual gym was at Oakland, and that was a, you know, unbelievable experience to
yeah,
actually
big
have
day
that.
for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, my diet in high school, pizza rolls, chicken nuggets.
Yep.
I think you used to get Subway every day. I swear there was a while where
A lot of Subway days.
That's not too bad, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of
Jared
basketball.
got in shape from Subway, so it probably works for
It works
everybody.
for everybody, yeah, definitely. I forgot about that guy. You don't see him anymore.
Wonder
No.
why.
I think he had some other issues going on.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so good.
So, yeah, I've had a couple coaches since then. I did one coach that I did an off season with. His name's Ken Jackson.
Oh,
He's an IFBB pro. He's actually from around here.
I've
He's
been to
local.
Jack's Fitness before.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you know all about it. So I loved like working with him. He really taught me a lot about training. That's where I learned like a lot of intensity techniques that I've incorporated into my own training. You know, drop sets, partials, iso holds, supersetting, all those good things, and that really helped me build a lot of muscle during an off season. But we just didn't really like agree on prepping methods, so I had to part ways with him after that. And
You didn't
You
take
know.
his. You didn't want to take the steroids or anything.
yeah, right. No, nobody's ever forced that on me.
That's
Surprisingly
good.
enough, I mean, I'll just tell him straight up. Like, actually, in my very first meeting with him, I was like, if this is what I'm signing to, then I'm out. Like, if that's what this entails, then count me out. Like, I just want to put that on the table right now. And he was like, no. So,
That's
everybody, if you're firm in your beliefs and you tell people your reasoning, like, they sometimes they don't question you.
Yeah.
So,
That's good. That is
Yeah.
a cool gym too. That's
oh, it's so cool. And
the atmosphere is
it's a
good.
private facility, too. So, very prestigious.
Yeah.
You feel special working out there.
Yeah, I was member of the
Where's that
Oakland. It's in like Sterling Heights or maybe even
Shelby.
Shelby.
Yep.
I was on the club
No,
football
what?
team for a while.
22 and Van Dyke. Or
Is that where the
something like
workouts
that.
would be?
Yeah, and that was our Sunday morning
Oh.
workouts that were absolutely hell.
Is that the one where Kevin threw up?
Kevin did throw up from those.
Oh,
Kevin Voss. Yeah,
Shout out to Kevin.
Shout out to Kevin.
Roommate Kevin.
he had a rough night the night before, and then tried to do a brutal workout. And he wasn't the only person to puke, but
It was a no bueno.
Actually, the first time I ever puked during a workout was at Ken Jackson's Fitness Factory
Was
as
it?
well. It was. Definitely the workout intensity didn't help, but I think I just ate a little too much before and didn't have enough time for it to digest. And then
That'll happen.
it was leg day, so didn't really help. And I wasn't feeling too hot, so sat down for a minute during that. But
yeah, all the workouts we did there were like circuit style.
oh yeah.
And then the last thing we did was the old Prowler sled.
Oh
So-
my gosh, I have nightmares from that thing, man.
Prowler sickness is a real thing. It's those the
I
weighted
would
sleds. You gotta
cry.
push them back and
From
forth
that
on the
stuff.
turf.
Did he ever make you do the back pedal?
We never worked out with the actual guy.
Oh, with
Ours were
Ken,
led by
okay.
the coach, who was like a trainer.
Oh,
there, I
the
think.
coach. Wait, what's his name?
Tom Menas or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. He might have just been a friend of his or something, but he
Right,
was affiliated with
right.
the gym somehow.
Okay.
So.
Very cool.
Well, thank you for coming on. I'm glad to have a bodybuilder extraordinaire on the show.
Yeah. Do you have any last words of advice? Anything, final thoughts that you'd like to say for everyone to know from a bodybuilding extraordinaire?
I guess just if you're really serious about changing your lifestyle and getting into this and you want to see results, just know that nobody's perfect. You don't have to be like 100% adherent all the time, but the biggest key to success, in my opinion, in any facet of life is consistency. So, if you're most days giving it all you got, then you're probably gonna get somewhere in the long term. If you're a woman, don't be afraid to lift heavy. Don't be afraid of what guys think of you in the gym. Just know that everybody started somewhere. I don't know what else.
I like
So
it.
basically, you're saying fad diets and
Foo-foo
get
workouts.
ripped in 3 weeks workouts.
I want you to go right now to GNC and ask them what the latest fit tee is that you can buy.
I like it.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you guys having me today. It was really nice talking to you, and hope somebody, if you're listening to this, I hope you get something out of it.
And
So-
she wasn't serious about the fit tee, so don't do that.
Yeah, don't actually do
Please
that.
stay away from that.
All right, well, if you made it this far in, thank you for listening. Feel free to leave us a comment or a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. And
Please don't do that.
we'll have Kirstie's Instagram in the bio as well as ours. And thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.